Hey everybody, Paul here coming at you with a crypto coffee update. Today we have conferences, news, events, and actually a whole lot of news, all of which is very relevant. So if it's your first time with us, welcome, and please join me for what I like to call our simultaneous sip, where we enjoy a cup of coffee together in a moment of reprise to start our day right. It's those little quiet moments in time that really you gotta cherish them. So let's go ahead and segue into the news of the day and get serious about what's happening in the world of crypto. And it seems a lot of people are serious about the price, as Ethereum nears $300 and Bitcoin pops above 7,000 yet again. Gives a lot of individuals a breath of fresh air. A lot of this volume coming out of South Korea. $4.5 billion from BitHum as it retakes the second position for largest exchange by volume. You can see Bitcoin's price up 5%, with other altcoins seeing gains as much as 20%. So, exciting times. Not so exciting for Litecoin, however, as Charlie Lee, the founder, says he's not going to buy back his Litecoin, which gives a little bit of cause for concern. Let's explore what's going on there. Peaking in mid-December at about $360, Litecoin's price is now below $60, and for Charlie Lee, it's really not about price. For me, quote, I sold because of conflict of interest, so I'm not going to buy back my Litecoin anytime soon or at all. This is perhaps unfortunate news for many Litecoin diehards, given Charlie Lee has been a staple in the coin for quite some time, being its creator. Strangely enough, however, one has to wonder if conflict of interest is indeed such a big issue for Charlie Lee, why he didn't sell his Litecoin while he worked at Coinbase. Coming from one of my favorite investigative journalists, Bitfinex, Coinbase Insider Trading, Litecoin Edition. I went ahead and cherry-picked a few items from this article because it is very inceptuous and illuminates a bit about Charlie Lee, and in my opinion, begs some questions about his claims that he's worried about conflict of interest. Let's explore. As I said, I only picked the most relevant points of this article. You can feel free to go down and look below in the description where I've linked this article and come to your own conclusions. But suffice to say, problem one is Charlie Lee was an employee of Coinbase when Coinbase added Litecoin. Furthermore, Charlie Lee held a significant amount of Litecoin while he worked for Coinbase and while they listed it. He may have even asked Coinbase to add Litecoin. Problem 3, the Litecoin community was essentially dead or non-existent prior to the Coinbase listing, so the listing on Coinbase really meant a lot for a dying coin. Problem 5, irregular trading activity prior to Litecoin announcement. This is huge. There was some strange trading activity showing that somebody may have leaked information due to the fact that the price in Litecoin bumped very significantly before the formal announcement was made. Strange. Major takeaway, after Litecoin was essentially dead price-wise, community-wise, etc. for years, just days before Coinbase made the announcement to add Litecoin while Charlie Lee was working for Coinbase, it skyrocketed in price. So strange happenings all around. I'm not saying anything definitive about Charlie. I'm not saying anything definitive about Coinbase. I am simply looking at public record, putting it together and asking the question, if Charlie Lee makes the claim that conflict of interest is something he takes seriously and is willing to divest himself from a project that he's worked on for more than, well, almost 6-7 years now, why was this conflict of interest not a major point of contention when it was listed on Coinbase? It's definitely worth asking the question, and so far Charlie Lee has been mute about the subject. And it looks like until he makes some claims, it's up to the user to decide for themselves. Moving on, the Brazil-based exchange Atlas Quantum has faced a major security breach, but before you clutch your pearls, don't worry, everything is okay. While this is a major detriment to identity, it looks as though funds are indeed safe. Private keys and passwords, everything has remained encrypted except for user data. This highlights a very unique and interesting vector of attack that exchanges have, the Know Your Customer anti-money laundering regulations that require users to input their real identity. Perhaps even more worrisome, Troy Hunt, an individual who runs an index Have I Been Pwned, which tracks breaches of information, showed that 24% of user data on the platform had already been compromised previously, which again highlights just how prolific identity theft is today, and perhaps that's something that digital ledger technology can help with. The attestation of human identities on the chain without having to have a really clunky KYC process that could be exploitable. So with that said, cheers to Atlas Quantum for making sure that the private keys and all user funds were secure, but also with that said, very worrisome, and I wish nothing but the best to these users who've had their identities breached. Speaking of going places you're not supposed to, North Korea, they want people to come to their crypto conference. Yeah, a little strange. The North Korean Hermit Kingdom wants individuals to come and talk about crypto, and not just talk about crypto to North Korea. From the article, it says that it's not going to be a one-sided exchange. North Korea reportedly is intending to show its prowess in the field of decentralized ledger technology. One has to wonder what work North Korea has been doing on DLTs, because it hasn't seemed like they've been doing a lot of work on the actual conference and event that they want to host. It's set to occur on October 3rd, but really, so far, all of the information that we've gotten has come from South Korea media outlets, so assumingly either the conference is in development or this may just be North Korea doing a kabuki theater kind of thing that they tendentially do when they want to look as though they're keeping up with the rest of the world in various industries. Perhaps even more worrisome, there's no confirmation as to what the intent of this conference is, so inviting a lot of high-ranking individuals who know a lot about digital ledger technologies into the Hermit Kingdom, in which they have pretty much dictatorial control, it's risky at best, to say the least. There's even a hacker group named Lazarus that may or may not have been working with the North Korean government, breaching all kinds of cryptocurrency exchanges and fintech companies around the world, so really all we have to do now is wait and see what time will tell. Changing gears a bit, there's an upcoming Bitcoin Cash hard fork proposed for November that seems to be causing quite a bit of anxiety and worry amongst the community. I wanted to try and clarify the situation the best I could, get some facts on the ground, and first just start out with letting people know it's not my job here to tell you what to think. I don't want to tell you what to think. My job's to present information how I see it in the most relevant and objective way that I possibly can, and for you to make your own informed decision, or perhaps even abstain from making a decision until you're comfortable and confident with the information that's been presented to you. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I need more information before I pick a side. And this one individual, OCC Crypto Club, it seems as though they haven't chosen sides either. And if they haven't made it very apparent. But what they have made apparent is they're not worrying too much about the hard fork. So I wanted to use this article to not only explain what's happening, but also demonstrate that things are going to be all right, folks. Let's go ahead and explore why I stopped worrying about the November hard fork for Bitcoin Cash. The author states that chances are, if you're reading this, you're aware of the two competing clients for the Bitcoin Cash hard fork, which is Bitcoin ABC and Bitcoin SV, or Satoshi's Vision. Just for the sake of brevity, we will lightly summarize that the ABC client, they want to introduce a new opcode called OP check data, completely new, and they want a new transaction ordering format, so a new way to order the blockchain itself. The SV client, or Satoshi Vision client, is planning to reintroduce 4 original opcodes, so codes that were originally in Bitcoin and then taken out at a later date for various reasons, and they want to raise the block size to 128 megabytes. Now, the block size increase is what has a lot of individuals worried about the stability of the fork, but we'll get into that momentarily. The article, again, is not written to argue for either side. Really, it's just to convince the reader that worrying about the upcoming hard fork isn't doing any good. So let's explore how the author makes this claim and what their conclusion is. The reason the author isn't worried is because they don't think that this will result in multiple coins. Rather, one proposal will win out. The author proposes a hypothetical scenario in which, let's fast forward to November 15th, 2018. Both groups are upgraded, network is waiting, and finally, the miner finds the first block post-fork. And of course, after that happens, they relay this block to the rest of the network. The different mining nodes are either going to accept it or they're going to reject it due to the different transaction ordering rules. After the majority chain picks up and starts to have significantly more transactions and volume, the undecided miners will inevitably jump on the chain with the most hashes. This is simply due to the fact that mining costs money, costs energy, takes time, and mining a useless chain is something that is a net negative for any miner. The loser of this battle will have to pay opportunity costs in the form of block rewards, but realistically, that's just kind of how it goes. In fact, miners may even vote beforehand to ensure that as little as possible block rewards are lost, since again, this is their business. In closing, the author admits that, of course, he was a bit worried about the upcoming hard fork, and admittedly, as was I. Fears about the hard fork were set at ease when this author remembered this section of the white paper talking about one CPU, one vote, and the part following the longest proof of work chain. Now, we may be using ASICs nowadays, but nonetheless, it's proof of work. Your energy input is what you use to vote on what chain is legitimate. And to fully conclude, the author is sure there will be hurt feelings on upgrade day, and people may not get the chain that they want. However, this will not result in Bitcoin Cash splitting into multiple coins, assumingly, so instead of worrying about the hard fork, this author says let's remain positive, and let's focus on increasing adoption no matter what ends up coming out of the situation. And that's a sentiment I'm always going to echo. After all, none of these technical debates matter if nobody ends up using DLTs in the real world. It'll just be like a blip on the historical radar that's largely irrelevant. So adoption really is everything. Of course, no analysis would be complete with just conjecture. I wanted to give a bit of technical dive in from one individual who I think has been so on point so far in this debate. They have been so inceptuous as to offer detailed technical explanations in a easily to understand plain English format, while still ensuring that the sanctity of the technicals therein remain secure. So the way this person has been explaining things is just so straightforward and clear, despite it being so technical, that I got to give him a shout out. Thomas Zander, the way he explains things is just so succinct. Let's explore. I mentioned previously the 128 megabyte blocks is what kind of has people worried, and Thomas Zander says calling them dangerous is just an emotional response. It's easy, but it's not useful. But he agrees that they are quote unquote dangerous for a specific reason. The issue is that the peer-to-peer layer was originally limited to 32 megabytes by Satoshi, and he did this for a reason, and this is because the peer-to-peer layer is just not going to scale past that point. Sure, you can throw more memory into it and it probably won't fail, but it's not going to work really well. Point is, if you want to do huge blocks, you got to fix the peer-to-peer layer. The peer-to-peer layer is what we talked about before. When the miner finds a block, they have to get it to other miners. This is similar to Moore's law, but while Moore's law talks about your hard drive, there's Nielsen's law of internet bandwidth. Nielsen talks about how network speed grows over time. However, it doesn't seem to grow quite as quickly as the increase in hard drive space. So that's very interesting, and it entails some very interesting implications for how Bitcoin can scale. Essentially, this makes the ecosystem a bit fragile, and it could cause some very big exploitability from other nodes if the block size is increased to that point. Again, this is from Thomas Zander, and it's up to you to make your own decisions about this information. Let me know below in the comments if you have any rebuttal or any other alternative perspective, or if you simply really liked what Thomas Zander had to say here. Point of the matter being, shout out to that guy, and he definitely seems to know what he's talking about given his long and rich history in the space. I know this was a bit of a long news bite. Thanks so much for bearing with us there. I just had to touch on all of these extremely relevant points and also put some fears to rest about the Bitcoin Cash hard fork. Let me know what you thought about this below in the comments as we get into the happenings of the day for August 29th, Wednesday. I wanted to give a shout out to the International Association for Cryptologic Research. Super high caliber conferences happen in there, the kind of stuff you have to apply for well in advance, so I put a link below in the description. If you're a high level programmer, somebody like Thomas Zander for instance, this would be the kind of stuff that you are looking at, so keep an eye out for that. And we have the digital Rajasthan Conclave happening in Jaipur, India. Next up for Thursday, August 30th, we have the Blockchain Without Borders conference kicking off in New York, and the CoinVention Hackathon is happening in Philadelphia. That's all we have for Thursday, August 30th, and for this Crypto Coffee update, don't forget about the Cryptide giveaway that is still ongoing, so feel free to head over to the last Crypto Coffee update where you can get all kinds of information about that ongoing giveaway, and you could be entered for your chance to win crypto. Isn't that the best part about this whole thing? Free coins? So, with that said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Paul, we are Cryptide, and remember, the tide is rising. Floating on information.